So Lee Cronin's The Mummy is now out in theaters. I had the opportunity to check it out earlier today over at AMC Painters Crossing. Uh, so Lee Cronin's The Mummy, obviously completely different from the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, and has nothing to do with that god awful, terrible, stupid. I ran out of words to describe just how bad that movie is. The Tom Cruise Mummy, the one that was supposed to kick off the Dark Universe, created by Universal Pictures, which started and ended with a dud, basically. So this is completely different. As a matter of fact, different studio, because Lee Cronin's The Mummy is being distributed by Warner Brothers Discovery. So the movie had a production of about 20 to 30 million. I thought it was pretty well adequate. I thought it was adequately had an adequate budget for it. I thought it had a proper amount of budget for it. I wish they poured more effort into the marketing, because right now early predictions are calling for about a 15 to 20 million opening weekend for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. However, the 20 to 30 million dollars in the budget, that only counts towards production, not necessarily marketing. So factoring marketing as well, this movie will probably need to make, I'm going to guess, somewhere around 60 to 70 million just to break even, probably more than that. So very good chances the studio is going to take a loss on this, but we'll have to wait and see how holds up. Maybe word of mouth will help carry this movie a bit further. We'll see what happens. But I thought the casting was pretty good. It was pretty well paced. Good story, good build up for it. It's different from other horror movies because it's definitely different. I mean, yes, one or two things in the movie are a little predictable. The ending I did not see coming. I was not expecting, that ending. I'm not going to get into it because it's only day one of this movie officially in theaters, so I'm not going to spoil anything in case there are those that do want to see it. But I thought it was definitely different and unique horror movie. They taken, they dive into the supernatural realm, and then ancient Egyptian stuff. And then this was also in the preview as well, so this is not a spoiler. When they find the tape that has Katie's name on it, again, that's not a spoiler because that was in one of the previews. So it was like they took different little elements, from other movies or other genres or other, franchises, and, they mashed them together and they just made this movie its own. And I thought it worked beautifully, obviously, mentioning with the tape and stuff like that, when, you have a tape, first movie that comes to mind is The Ring. And, The Ring was, was a great movie. But Lee Cronin's The Mummy, it definitely took other elements, did things a little differently, and at the same time, it made it its own. And I thought it worked, so it would be, a crying shame if this movie does not, hit where it needs to hit in order to break even. Again, I think they probably should have been a little bit more of a push with the marketing. Speaking of marketing, one thing I think they could have done differently. Now, the tagline for this movie is "What Happened to Katie?" And you'll definitely get your answer in that. And I believe I saw it in a TV spot or one of the actual previews itself. You kind of see a little glimpse as to what exactly happened. I mean, and there's one scene in the movie where you see that same exact scene, but fills in everything else, so you get a full picture of what exactly happened. But that's the one thing I think they could have done differently, is that one little scene in that TV spot or preview, where it shows you what happens to Katie, I wish they would not have shown that. Just like leave it a complete 100% surprise. So that's my opinion on Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And as far as the letter grade, giving this movie a letter grade, I'm going to have to roll with either a B or a B plus on this one. Again, this was, a great movie. It's very rare when I talk very positively about a horror movie, because the last couple of years I was just not a fan of the horror genre. Has nothing to do with being scared or anything like that. Like, I can handle horror movies. My issue with the horror movies the last couple of years was they all felt too similar. Not one, there may have been a couple here and there, but for the most part, they did not stand out and make it their own. It just felt too similar to each other. I think the last couple of years, the last year or two, I would say, the last year or two, I believe, there's been improvements, when it comes to the horror genre. Is it completely perfect now? No. But I think it's in a better position than where it was, I would say, probably 3-4 plus years ago. So, we'll see if, the horror genre continues to build on this momentum and continue to put out good and exciting movies. So Lee Cronin's The Mummy, it's definitely worth a rewatch. I would definitely watch it again. That's my opinion. So that's my take on Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And of course, obviously the big news is that, CinemaCon was this week out in, I believe it was in Vegas. Yeah, out in Vegas. Some interesting little bits of news had already came out. One piece of news that came out was that they're going to make a Call of Duty movie. There's a Call of Duty movie that's going to go into production, and I believe they're eyeing a 2028 release for this movie. So, obviously there's no script yet. They haven't even cast it yet, so it's very early in the game. So, obviously, more info on this will be coming up, later on down the line. So, but yeah, I'm going to put out a separate video, go over, all, the latest news and everything that has basically dropped, from CinemaCon. So this is obviously an exciting week for, moviegoers and, critics, etc., to see what exactly the studios have planned and, what's coming down the pike. So, so that would do it. Thank you for, tuning in. What did you think of Lee Cronin's The Mummy if you had an opportunity to see it? Do you have any interest in watching the movie? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.